He spent the money. Yeah, Trump spent all the money in the EBT and the SNAP contingency fund. Over $5 billion is gone. In case you've been wondering why he's been doing backflips to keep from having to pay out of the SNAP and EBT contingency fund.
This is hilarious.
Can we reform SNAP and these benefits so they're used for the people who really need them?
It's meant for people. And you know what it does is it really puts the country at jeopardy. People that need it have to get it. I'm all for it. But people that are able-bodied can do a job. They leave their job because they figure they can pick this up. It's easier. That's not the purpose of it.
All the lawsuits, he's trying to stop it. In case you're wondering why, that's because he doesn't want anybody to find out that that money doesn't exist anymore. Have you seen the documents circulating, the court documents where the justice outlines what happened to that money? The executive branch exhausted that fund. I'm only laughing as a sign of mania and insanity because I don't know what else to do at this point. That sounds like a fucking embezzlement, right? That's a crime. That's a crime for which people do time, yeah? Are we surprised? I'm not surprised. I don't even think his swallowers would be surprised. They just won't care, you know? They just won't care. As far as they're concerned, this is just another step to sticking it to the poor, who is actually mostly made up of them. So the irony is... But he's never going to see a jail cell for this. And his side won't care. They'll make up some fucking excuse or another. He spent the fucking money. I'll bet you that mythical $2,000 stimmy check that he tries to blame Biden.
So the $5 billion that was in that contingency fund, the one that's supposedly supposed to be enough to sustain the SNAP benefits, the reason why they keep going back and forth is because it's gone. The money is gone. The money is gone. It's gone. They took our fucking money and they literally thought that they were going to get away with it. But see, us meddling fucking kids is pointing the fucking fingers in the right directions. And now they got to scramble to figure out how to cover this shit up. That warning about Democrats winning, meaning a lot of people were going to go to jail, is because they all took a piece of that pie. They all took a piece of that fucking pie. And now they got to make sure that they get their buddies in position to not actually investigate. They took our fucking money. They took the money. They took it. They took it. They took it. Why do you think that Donald Trump all of a sudden is having the most profitable year of his fucking career? 80 years. And this is the year that he's making the most money that he's ever made in his entire fucking life. Yeah, they took the fucking money. And now the Supreme Court just went against the judge ruling that forced or ordered the Trump administration to fulfill the entirety of the SNAP benefits for the month of November. Yeah.
This is hilarious.
Yeah, they took the fucking money. They took the money. They took the money. That's the only reason why he would have to probably allegedly make that call to Supreme Court. Like, listen, block this shit, because they don't have it. They don't have our money, y'all. They took the fucking money. They took the fucking money. Just like the last time that he caused another government federal shutdown, $3 billion was gone. And because it was gone and nobody could ever do anything about it, we couldn't ask no questions about it. They thought they was going to be able to do that shit again. They did it. But now there's too many fucking questions. There's too many fucking questions. They don't have the answers, and now they're scrambling. So essentially, Donald Trump, this Trump administration took money out of my pocket, out of my check, and took food out of your mouth. And before we end this video, just to let you know, the Trump administration has actually removed the free IRS tax filing system created under the Biden administration, designed to help Americans save money, an average of $270. Trump said there will be no more of that in 2026. Yeah, that's your president.
Today, the Trump administration is demanding that states reverse full November SNAP benefits they issued to people in need, or there will be consequences. The most recent memo from the USDA is now telling states to deliver just 65% of the benefits, and says those who already sent full payments need to give back the money to the federal government. Several states like Minnesota and Wisconsin dispersed full benefits within the short window that a federal judge mandated full payments before the Supreme Court's ruling allowing them to be paused again. The Department of Agriculture yesterday told states that it would now consider any payments made last week to be unauthorized.
If you had to guess what ethnicity receives the most SNAP benefits, What would be your guess? Say it in the comments. Muslims. They have their religion allows them to have multiple wives and multiple kids per wife. And the man can't work because he's got so many wives and so many kids. And there's no way, unless the government pays for it, for that man to support all them wives and all them kids. So the majority of them get SNAP benefits. Yeah, that's where the majority of SNAP benefits goes. It's not other ethnicities. The percentages of every other ethnicity are nowhere near the percentages for the Muslim community. Way up there. That was a light bulb moment, right? The light bulb moment goes off because how many of them are documented? I'm just saying, how many of them are documented? We know a lot of them came in the last term for the last guy. That's super interesting.
USDA released the reduced dollar amount for SNAP that will be sent out. But to me, what's wild is out of the $6 billion that they have access to, $1.4 billion of that is going towards administration fees. $1.4 billion is allocated to cover administrative costs for state agencies to process new applications and distribute benefits to existing SNAP recipients. States are required by law to notify people about changes in benefits. $1.4 billion in administration fees? That's wasteful. That could have been added on to whatever they were going to send out. So here's the numbers. This is what they calculated. A one person household, one person 149. A household of two people, 273. The states, whatever state you're in, they said that they're going to cover the remaining costs. I don't know how much that is going to be. And also there's going to be payments to Guam and U.S. Virgin Islands, Hawaii, and Alaska. Now, they still don't know when they're going to send it out, though. They still haven't figured out when you're going to receive it.
I have a devastating update on the SNAP program for you. Donald Trump just posted on Truth Social he will not be giving any November SNAP benefits to anyone. Nobody will receive them from the federal government, despite the fact that there's a court order to do so. And the USDA came out yesterday morning announcing that they're giving every SNAP recipient in the United States 50% of their November benefits. According to Trump, he is not going to allow the USDA to now do that. Trump shared on Truth Social he won't give any SNAP benefits until the radical left Democrats reopen the government. This will devastate millions of Americans. This is unbelievable and unprecedented by a president of the United States. Trump also said in his Truth Social post that SNAP benefits were handed to anyone for asking.
Why are we acting like it's incomprehensible for Taylor Swift to be MAGA aligned when she already is publicly and she has been for years? As someone who was a diehard Swiftie until around 2023, I clocked the fuck out when she popped up with this bitch. Because this was a political statement. You cannot be a good person who cares about human rights and have close friends who support white supremacist Christian nationalist fascism. You just can't. And if you're offended because you have MAGA friends, I am talking about you.
He just robbed the government in front of us, and no magic tricks. I don't fuck with Donald Trump, but he recently said that the meatpacking industry was skyrocketing the prices, and he's so fucking right. And I've been telling y'all, look at this shit. Didn't get none though. Then I come to the fucking hamburger. Why the fuck is the hamburger $41? Is you bitches out of your fucking mind? Are y'all okay? Are we okay? I know they're taking away food stamps next month, but damn. Now look at those prices versus the little Spanish grocery store that I've been going to. Y'all, this motherfucking meat aisle, it made me want to buy meat today. For real, look at everything. Look, even the oxtails. Bitches ain't never cooked oxtails a day in their life, but look. Don't things make you want to cook them? Then look at the hamburger meat, all red and motherfucking yes. Like it was, listen, every motherfucking other store, Publix, Walmart, anywhere else, their meat prices are sky high, nothing less than $14. But when I go to little Spanish bodegas, which are full grocery stores, They got regular prices still. And it's so motherfucking funny because it's like, if y'all do not think that they stole them SNAP benefits, listen, Trump and 5 of his motherfucking friends, this is all allegedly, just in case. Trump and 5 of his friends got together, they split that $5 billion down, they sent it to other countries to get it washed and put it in offshore accounts. Sam, I'm lying, I'm flying, I promise you. Because it's like, as soon as Trump had that case and they let him win the case, then they let him be our president, I knew we were fucked. But he ain't lying about the meat packing shit, though. The meat is OD. But it's like, I remember years ago when like eggs hit $10 and we all was like, what the fuck is going on? It's like, everything is starting to get overly overpriced. And you know what did that? Motherfucking pandemic and COVID. They skyrocketed everything, but they haven't come back down with the current times. You get what I'm saying? And it's like, for me to literally remember back in the day when I could go to Kroger, go grocery shopping, take my little Kroger gas points, go to the tank. It would be $2.15 for a gallon of gas. I use my Kroger points and now gas is 79 cents a gallon. I fill up my car for $18. To now where we are with just everything's sky high. And the thing about it is that for them to have the motherfucking nerve to really try to play in Americans' face, like it's not even like right now, back in the day, America was home of the free, everything is great, move to America, coming to America. Everything coming to America was amazing, right? Yeah, it ain't that no more. Other countries are laughing at us. They're laughing at us. Like, yeah, y'all's president hates y'all. Y'all put him in that motherfucking office. Now y'all all motherfucking going through some shit. Like, everybody is affected by this. And my thing is, it's like, for people to have put that man in office after the shit that he already was accused of was just mind-blowing to me. But now to see how bad the world is really going down into motherfucking ashes and everybody's just like, no, the motherfuckers who voted this man in office, y'all did that. And now y'all are affected by it. Even the motherfucking Latinos for Trump. Now look at you. Look at you now. Look at you now. Look at you. And it's so crazy because it's like so much shit in our government is corrupt. Everything's corrupt at this point. And it's like, it's going to be that way for a minute because it's like you have Trump who's in office. He's putting all his homeboys. He's getting all his people in there. Everybody. Okay. So therefore, once he does leave office, he will still have that control on that office. Period. Trump, Elon, and 3 other of their friends. They took that $5 billion, broke it down, sent it to other countries to get it washed, and now it's in an offshore account somewhere. Y'all not getting that motherfucking food stamps. And it's so fucked up because it's like, damn. But you know what I hope happens? I hope, because like I saw that they're trying to bring it down to the lower courts. They don't want this in Supreme Court, which is good. That's good for us because that's Biden administration. That's Obama administration that's still in the lower courts. So therefore, we get a fair chance. The people we get a fair chance for an actual audit and investigation. Because where the fuck is that money and why can you not pay food stamps out? Where's that money and why can you not pay the food stamps out? And if they do an audit, and they trace that money and they end up finding out, they're all going to jail. They're all going to jail. Every single one of them. The thing about it, though, is with Trump in office, he's probably already putting people in place. He's already putting people in place so that when it does happen, he gets off scot-free. Him and all his buddies. And it's happening all in front of us. And we're just sitting here like, oh my God. Like, yeah, I understand that the world is struggling right now. And I know that like food stamps is the really, really big thing that everybody's talking about. But y'all do not understand 6 months from now how much worse it's going to get. And it's like, we're going, like, I remember COVID, they flooded us. Well, I mean, I was a stripper. I was in the clubs and shit. So we got flooded with free money because people was just spending their money, not giving a fuck. But it's like now we're about to have a complete reversal and it's going to go into like, I feel like we're already in recession, but recession times 10. This is just the beginning. And it's like, they set us up for failure. Our government set us up for failure. And like we, the people, not me, because I didn't vote for his ass, but putting him in office was one of the worst things that could ever happen to this world. Or to the Americans at least, because we got other countries literally laughing at us. How the fuck is Walmart and Publix motherfucking beef higher than the Spanish little corner grocery store? I promise you. Don't go to Walmart no more. Don't go to Publix. Don't go to Target. Go to a Spanish grocery store. And I promise you, you're going to get all the good prices on shit. And it's so fucked up. It's so fucked up. And it's like, even with his whole deportation thing going on, like, America is not, oh my God, America, I want to be in America no more. I understand the people who grew up here and this is all they know. But it's like these other countries are laughing. Ha ha, y'all are starving. Ha ha, y'all can't eat. Y'all can't feed yourself. I saw a video of a beautiful African woman with her kids. She's like, eat children. The American children are starving. And the shit was so motherfucking funny because she dead ass right. And it used to always be, oh, feed the kids in Africa. It used to always be that. Now these other countries are ha-ha kikiing at us because we allowed this man to go in office and he done robbed us blind. Greed is real. And these men, they already did so much to become the multi-million and billionaires that they are. How the fuck did you think that they wouldn't steal directly from the government? You don't think that they would steal directly from the government? And then put one of their buddies in the head of like the DA to make sure that if it ever comes down crashing, everybody's covered. They probably got proof on every motherfucking body that's a part of this. And even if the lower courts find what happened to that food stamp money, I bet you they won't go to jail for it. He might get impeached. They might, allegedly, but they won't suffer any consequences because when you're rich, they think that you can get away with every motherfucking thing, and some of them can. We have a president in office right now that had a fucking Fed case the year before he went into office. Like, is this real? Like, this has to be a fucking movie. Like, I feel like I'm in an episode of the damn, I don't know, some crazy shit. But y'all.
Hey y'all, what's up? TikTok entertainment purposes and stuff. This is from an article on Yahoo that I'm looking at on Yahoo. Says Jackson wrote in a brief, talking about Ketanji Brown Jackson, says Jackson wrote in a brief order that her administrative stay will facilitate the First Circuit's expeditious resolution of the Trump administration's request for the longer pause of the district court's decision. She said the appeals court should resolve the pending motion with dispatch. I told y'all, listen to this. In its emergency appeal to the Supreme Court, the Trump administration said it has already exhausted the entirety of more than $5 billion in its contingency reserve, which was enough to provide only partial food assistance payments for the months. It warned that the additional $4 billion needed to cover the full allotments for low-income Americans would require it to dip into a fund designated for the child nutrition programs, which they're not going to do. I'm going to read you a little bit of Ketanji Brown's her brief. Says, Congress has failed to appropriate funds to pay for supplemental nutritional assistance program SNAP benefits for this fiscal year. The executive branch has since exhausted the entirety of its SNAP contingency reserve, which amounted to over $5 billion. But that will only be enough to cover partial payments for the month of November. Such a funding lapse is a crisis, but it is a crisis occasioned by congressional failure and one that can only be solved by congressional action. That money is gone. Told y'all that money was gone. Now it's no longer what I think. It's now a fact. That money's gone. We are in trouble. If they don't get this man and his cronies out of office, this nation is going to crumble. I'm serious. This isn't a joke. So y'all, now it's time for us to step up as a community, as a people. Y'all, let's come together and let's look out for those that are less fortunate, those that are going to be struggling. Let's do something. That y'all, let's come together, do what we can. I mean, if it's giving up Starbucks for a couple of days, it's just small sacrifices. to help out, contribute to these food banks and find out. Y'all, if you know places that have food banks, food pantries, let me know. I'll post them on my page. Y'all, this is getting serious, and I'm going to sit back and I'm going to try and see in what ways that I can help, other than running my mouth. But it's about to get serious. But we're hoping that this stay that Ketanji Brown Jackson did will help facilitate the release and help them get the money that they need, because it's only for 48 hours and they have to do something. But yeah, it's real, y'all. This is bad, but I love y'all, and y'all, let's come together and help those that need us later.
Full SNAP benefits are still on hold, and the Trump administration is not required to pay them out right now. That's because the Supreme Court just issued this short ruling. So let me just back up for a second. I told you in this video last Friday that a federal judge in Rhode Island ordered the Trump administration to distribute full SNAP benefits immediately. The judge said if there was not enough money to fund SNAP in full from the contingency or emergency SNAP fund, then the Trump administration needed to find the money from somewhere else and get those benefits out. Well, the Trump administration did not like that. They do not think the courts should be telling them what to do. So the Trump administration appealed to the First Circuit Court of Appeals. But while they were considering that case, the appeals court judges would not put that Rhode Island federal judge's order on hold. So the Trump administration went to the Supreme Court and filed an emergency request to get that order paused. Because Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson is the justice who oversees the First Circuit, she said, okay, the First Circuit needs a minute to decide this case. So while they are quickly making a decision, she put what's called an administrative stay or a pause on the Rhode Island judge's order. Well, by Sunday, the First Circuit Court of Appeals issued a ruling and said, yep, that Rhode Island judge's ruling was correct. The Trump administration is required to get those full SNAP benefits out immediately. Well, of course, the Trump administration didn't like that either, so they appealed to the full Supreme Court. And just a few minutes ago, the full Supreme Court responded with this order. And instead of making an actual ruling in this case based on the merits and whether the Trump administration has the legal authority to withhold SNAP benefits, food assistance to 42 million qualified Americans, the full Supreme Court said, we are just going to extend that administrative stay until 11:59 p.m. Eastern on Thursday, November 13th. That means the Trump administration does not need to send full SNAP benefits to anyone until then. The justices did not say why they ruled this way, but for the record, Justice Jackson wrote that she would have denied the Trump administration's request, and she agrees with the First Circuit Court of Appeals and the Rhode Island federal judge and would have forced the Trump administration to distribute those full SNAP benefits immediately. So what does this mean for the millions of Americans on SNAP who have still not received their November benefits? Well, it means that they are still not going to get them, at least not today or tomorrow. What the justices did by extending this administrative stay is they avoided a confrontation with the Trump administration. While they did not write it, it's obvious that the justices are aware that this government shutdown is coming to an end as soon as the House comes back into session and votes on that Senate-passed deal. And once the government is back open, those SNAP benefits will go out. So the justices probably calculated that this case would ultimately be a moot point and it wasn't worth the confrontation. Now, if for some strange reason the House does not pass that bill to reopen the government before Thursday, November 13th at 11:59 p.m. Eastern, then that Rhode Island judge's order will take effect.
They didn't say they didn't have the money. They just waited till they were forced to use it. Think about that for a second. The judges had to step in so millions of people in America could eat. And the money was sitting there the whole time. I don't feel like that was a mistake, y'all. I feel like that was a message. And it just shows you that when the people in power chooses to, they can pause whatever they want. One decision from a room you'll never walk into can decide everything you depend on. They call it policy, but it feels like they just remind us who runs the show.
I'm going to show you a photo. I need you to pause it. Open it up, like zoom in and read what the Supreme Court Justice Ketanji Jackson said. I'm going to scoot my way out of here so that you can share this on your own to prove that we were right. We were right. We were right. We were right. The executive branch has exhausted the entirety of the SNAP contingency revenue, which equaled over $5 billion, but that was only enough to do partial payments through the month of November. In her ruling, she admitted that the executive branch, Donald Trump, robbed the pre-allocated funds that were only to go to SNAP. He spent them. They're gone. The money's not there. And while he spent the money that was made to feed hungry people in this country, he gave it to Argentina. And that president is currently the recipient of those $40 billion, is sitting in Mar-a-Lago on U.S. soil right now as our people are starving and his people are not, after our money was just stolen from us. $5 billion. The executive branch, that's the office of the president, exhausted, which means he used it. He took it. He stole it. Also saying in there, Congress already pre-approved and appropriated those funds. It's also Congress's job to say where this money goes, not the president. She admitted that the Trump administration used through the money that was been sitting there for years and years and years. And that's why this government is shut the fuck down. So he can rob the Treasury blind. And you people are out here like he's doing what I voted for. No, he's not. People are going to starve. And there's not even any money to put back there because he spent it. And he has the nerve to party in our faces on our money.
The Trump administration has just demanded that states claw back the money that was already released on Friday for SNAP. This comes after a late-night memo was released by the Department of Agriculture, which told states to undo any steps they've taken to issue full food stamp payments for November. Now it's at a point to where they're actually threatening financial penalties if states don't comply to it. Now, I live in a state as New Jersey that already on Friday started issuing all this food money out to people, which more than likely people probably went out and bought the food because we're already, a week into this whole thing and people needed the money to buy food. So how does this work and is it even legal? So technically speaking, yeah, technically it's legal. The Trump administration can claw back that money. Why? Well, because there's a pending case right now. If you remember, on Friday, the Supreme Court kind of gave a temporary stay giving power to pause the SNAP program. That pause was so that the Trump administration could fight it in court, but keep in mind that some of the money was already released. But the decision to do this came after it was already decided that the Trump administration had to give the money. We're kind of like in that legal limbo at this moment where it's just like, it is kind of up in the air. There is a temporary stay. The real legal question is whether or not the administration can actually change or pause SNAP benefits without Congress. That is actually what states like Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, New Jersey are challenging in the courts at this very moment. Which I still need to ask, if there's a contingency plan out there worth $5 billion that is put there for this exact reason, why is the Trump administration purposely holding it back and starving people when it's there for this exact reason? Which, once again, people start getting into speculation. Is the money still there? Which I live in facts, so I have to say yes for now. until we see otherwise. But let me know what you think about this in the comment section below, and let me know if you're affected or if you got some of the money and now they're telling you to return it. That's the other question I have for you. So I'll be sure to keep you updated, so please do share my videos and follow me for more.
I'm convinced more than anything now that the $5 million that was in that contingency fund is gone. They spent it because the DOJ is still trying to make arguments to the Supreme Court so that they can't or they really won't comply with the judge's orders to fund SNAP or food stamps. They're still not complying. That money is probably gone. What about the children? What about the families? What about the people? It's looking like they spend that money. They spent it.
SNAP program. Trying to figure out why the Trump administration would be opposed to using the emergency contingency funds for SNAP to feed people that it was designed to do. And I just can't come up with a good answer except this one. The more I thought about it, what if they have reprogrammed that $6 billion and they've used it for something else under Russell Vogt, the director of the Office of Management and Budget? And what if that money is not there now? And they never thought that they would need to use the money, that $6 billion, and who knows what they potentially have used it for. But so they've got to cover up the fact that money's not there. And so that may be why they don't want to be forced to allocate the SNAP emergency funds, is because the funds aren't there anymore. What if they use them for something else? What if they're for Trump's ballroom? What if they're for Kristi Noem's $170 million planes? What if they're to pay all these private FBI jets that Kash Patel's taken his girlfriend around on? They used it for Trump's no-show parade. I don't know. I'm just trying to decide, why would they not want to use these funds to help feed children, to help feed, which is 40% of the population that SNAP goes for. 20% are the elderly. Another big chunk are veterans and the disabled. Why? And maybe they've used the money for something else because they're reprogramming money for everything else, and they don't want to get caught. There's a big cover-up, and they don't want to get caught on this, just like those Jeffrey Epstein files. What do you think? Love to hear from my Democrats, my MAGAs, my crazies, my cuckoos, my burned out light bulbs. Maybe the reason is they've already used the funds and they're not there anymore. What do you think? Let me know.
There's been so much political news in the last 3 days. I did already put out a video talking about what happened with the ruling from Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson, but I think that we need to revisit it because what I believe she did on Friday night was brilliant. Now, at first, when her ruling came down, a lot of liberals melted down, and a lot of the MAGA people were cheering like, yeah, now they get to stop the SNAP benefits. I have no idea why so many MAGA people were ecstatic that SNAP benefits wouldn't be paid out, but I do understand why some people were like puzzled or scratching their head about.
He's telling the states to return the money. He's telling the states to return the SNAP money that they've deposited into people's accounts over the last 48 hours. Do you understand what type of psycho you have to be to take benefits away from people that just got them? That would put them in the negative on their EBT cards. There is something sinister. Well, there's obviously something sinister, but there's something like really going on here, like really, really going on here. And I think Justice Jackson was correct to have to call that audit because obviously the money's gone. That's not even up for the debate. They've spent the money. They've given the money to Argentina or somebody else, but somebody else has the money. But there's something else to this. There's a layer of cruelty that I don't think we've ever seen out in the open before. Because this shows a complete we know this. I know we know this. I know we know they don't care, but I can still find depths to be stunned. Like I can still be stunned and I'm like stunned. That's it. I'm just stunned. What happened to states' rights?
In 9 months, I've secured commitments of over $18 trillion, and we're going to have $21 trillion within the first year.
It's always 2 weeks. It's always, I'll have a plan in 2 weeks or 9 months. What he's talking about is foreign investments into America. And while I see that foreign investments, which it's not even close to 18 trillion or 17 trillion dollars, Trump is inflating his numbers. And while I see the value of bringing in foreign investments into the American economy and American businesses, how does that help the American person who is struggling to pay their groceries, pay for gas, pay for their mortgage and their rent? How does this 18 trillion, 21 trillion that Trump is always bragging about help the individual American? Just like with the $300 billion that Trump has applied in tariffs has hurt Americans, that $300 billion is definitely not funding SNAP. It's definitely not funding healthcare.
The pausing of the SNAP benefits, even though it was written in that she was pausing for just 2 days. In my first video on this, I was looking at the court case with Rhode Island against the USDA, and they have a contingency fund of money that was supposed to be, there in times of emergencies to spend on food. And it looks like that money has been spent. Now, I'm going to go back to that so we can read that together. But like this content creator says, and she said this yesterday, it's because Trump has until tomorrow when that stay he got from the Supreme Court expires, and he has to explain what happened to the SNAP benefit contingency fund because the money is not there anymore, according to Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson. That Orange F is scared. He has probably, I will just say probably, spent that money. He has probably been using that money to fund all of his little side gigs. He's been using that money however he's been using it. And the money is not there. That's the reason why they were so adamant about not funding SNAP. They wanted to keep this shutdown going on because now once the government is open, people are going to be looking at the books. Let's take a little bit of a closer look at what Justice Brown Jackson said. So this is a post from Collaboration. He says, looks like the pedo dump administration has already been illegally transferring money from SNAP. Justice Ketanji Brown let us know, and then gives us this screenshot, part of her ruling from Friday night. Okay, this highlighted part right here. The applicants assert that without intervention from this court, they will have to transfer an estimated $4 billion by tonight to fund SNAP benefits through November. Why would they have to transfer any funds? Shouldn't those funds already be there? And you can see at the bottom, it has Ketanji Brown Jackson's name. So this is what she put out there. She posted this because there's supposed to be money already in there. And that's the reason why she paused it. I have a friend that works in government. She works for a congressman or a congresswoman. She's currently working for this person. Now, obviously, I am respecting anonymity, but she sent me this message and she said that I could use it. She says, Senator Warren spoke to Justice Jackson and warned her before Friday's hearing that she needed to look at the contingency fund, and that's why she paused SNAP payments, to prevent the MAGA 6 justices from blocking the payments completely. She was doing it to protect the poorest Americans, protecting the poorest Americans from them completely allowing Trump to get away with stealing money, specifically and only allocated to keep the poorest Americans fed during the shutdown. So that is the reason why she paused it on Friday. I asked my friend who works for a congressman or a congresswoman, I was like, do y'all think that the Trump administration spent that money? She was like, the money in the contingency fund? Oh, definitely he did. He spent $2.8 billion, so 37% of the fund for his ballroom and to fix and upgrade that Qatari jet he illegally accepted. This is why he said it would hurt him more to have to pay the full SNAP with the contingency fund that was created and allocated only for SNAP and WIC funding during a government shutdown. She continues with, during Biden's first year as president, my boss was one of the congressmen or congresswomen who presented the bill for this contingency fund. It was voted on bipartisanly, with several of the women in the GOP and 3 of the men in the GOP voting yes to this fund because majority of their constituents received SNAP, and they just voted in their states to end termination rights, so they couldn't vote no on this fund as well. So this is just a reminder that there is a contingency fund. There's supposed to be money in that contingency fund. The fund is there for emergencies. This was an emergency. Why did the Trump administration fight so hard to not spend these funds?
I think one of the biggest reasons why they don't want Democrats coming into office behind them is that they're going to find all them little hiding spots and all that bullshit they've been doing. And that's why they're going to jail, because they've definitely been doing something illegal. But they gonna find every bit of evidence once they get there. That's why you got Steve Bannon sitting up there talking to them folks, talking about, hey, it's me and you going to jail. Us, we going to jail. And he's trying to finish a plan so he can at least have the safety net of now whatever I did before is covered because it's legal, because Trump said so. Boy, when I tell you we need to show up and show out for these midterm elections, because these folks need to go straight to prison. They've been doing something illegal this entire time. And I'm convinced them SNAP benefits have been stolen and they've been put somewhere specific. And for some strange reason, I got this nagging suspicion that the mafia is involved somehow. I don't know why, because their name keep coming up over and over in different areas. But yeah, they stole that money. That's just only one of the illegal things that they did, but they definitely stole that money. Hey, but if all of them are crooks, why should anybody be surprised?
Trump administration is demanding that states should immediately stop paying out SNAP benefits to the American families who rely on these benefits to eat. And they are stating that if they don't, they will face severe financial penalties. The Trump administration is telling the states that you cannot pay out SNAP benefits to American families. The Trump administration is coming out saying that if they pay out SNAP benefits, that the harm to the government would be more than the harm of watching millions of Americans potentially.
Laura, today the Trump administration told states to immediately undo any actions to provide food stamps. What are you hearing from organizers there and from people looking for food to feed themselves and their families?
There's a lot of frustration here today. We're at Bethel Original Church in Decatur, Georgia. This is the Food to Life organization providing all kinds of food for people here at the church and around the community. Fresh produce like apples and pineapple and cucumbers and avocado. Amazing amount of food for the people who need it most right now. But some say it may not be enough, as these SNAP benefits have now, they've gone without their SNAP benefits for more than a month. A lot of frustration, but you have a community willing to help. Take a listen.
It helps, it helps us a lot. It may not be much, but it helps. Anything helps. You're down to your last loaf of bread. You're down to, the last box of cereal or no cereal at all. Or you have to go to the grocery store with the little bit of money you do have and figure out, am I going to get milk? Or am I going to get cereal? Am I going to get bread? Am I going to get eggs? When you have a family, it's hard.
42 million people receive SNAP benefits around the country. Here in Georgia, a little more than 1 million. And now that we're more than a month in, we're really starting to see the struggle. As you just heard, people having to make some really tough decisions and really stretch these groceries thin while they hope and pray that these SNAP benefits take effect soon.
Starve. Says right here that the Justice Department is telling the court that it would hurt the federal government more to comply with the judge's order requiring full food stamp payments than it would hurt millions of low-income Americans to potentially starve. So just like we've been saying, the Trump administration does not want to pay out these benefits, and they don't care who suffers. They're not here to care about the American citizens. They care about themselves. That's it. That's all. And until they get what they want, they will starve Americans. Period.
So there's been a lot of back and forth regarding these SNAP benefits. Trump canceled the benefits. The courts ordered the Trump administration to pay the benefits out. Trump said no, and now some people got their full benefits, some people only got half, some people didn't get anything. It's just a big mess. And now people are speculating that the Trump administration may have spent the damn food stamp money. People are saying that they can't pay the benefits out because the money is gone. Where did the money go? Do y'all believe they stole that money? I believe it. I don't put nothing past Trump. He is a felon, and I'm not saying that all convicted felons steal food stamp money. I'm saying this convicted felon might steal some food stamp money. Well, not some of it. He might steal all of it. He might have stolen all of it, but I don't know yet. This is all alleged. And if the money is indeed where it's supposed to be, show us. Log into the food stamp checking account and take a screenshot and let us see it. And if you do have some extra, Zelle me like $50,000 or something. I won't tell nobody.
Ketanji Brown didn't vote with Trump. She actually voted against the SNAP benefits because she's there to expose the corrupt ring that's going on. So Congress allocated money between $5 to $6 billion for SNAP benefits, which was already allocated. And so Ketanji Brown went to go look into the funding, and she found that there was nothing there. So her plan is to expose Trump and this crime ring that's going on. They literally took all of the funding for SNAP, $5 to $6 billion, and now they can't repay it back. For all of you MAGA Muppets that voted for this shit, you're on the wrong fucking side of history, and we're not going to let that go.
Well, I think it's obvious now that the SNAP benefits monies is gone, and Donald Trump has allocated those funds to somewhere else. He's been fighting and fighting and fighting and fighting to try to get all kinds of courts to stop sending SNAP benefits monies. So where has the money gone? Donald Trump has stolen millions and millions and millions of dollars of food aid from American citizens. But where has the money gone? I think that's obvious now. That's obvious.
I know somebody don't play about you, but guess who it is? Like, I want you to guess who it is that don't play about me.
The reason the Trump administration is fighting so hard not to fully fund SNAP or pay SNAP is because they stole that money or they spent it on something they weren't supposed to. And if you think different, you are the fools they want you to be. You are those.
They spent all the money. Well, there's a little bit of money left, but they spent all the money. That's what happens when you put a felon in charge of things. Felon's got a felon. Criminal's got a criminal. They spent all the money. Or Doge stole it. But it's gone. Yeah. They're just like, oh, we can fund SNAP because we have to, because the federal judge in Rhode Island said we have to. Oh, we have to, but we only can give people half. Half. Well, where's the other half? Because remember, these funds were approved in January. Those funds were supposed to be secure. Where are they? Argentina? I don't know. Where are they? It's not real? Mommy, I'm pooping. My kid's pooping. She feels the same. But the money's gone. I have no words. I do have words. Them. That's what I have to say. Those are my words. Unbelievable.
The contingency fund is gone. And she said the quiet part out loud.
Okay, gang, we are going to run through this one more time. SNAP benefits for the entire country costs approximately $9.5 billion, okay? $9.5 billion. All right, there were 2 cases filed when the Trump administration said they weren't going to fund them. Case number 1, Massachusetts v. Department of Agriculture. Case number 2, Rhode Island State Council of Churches v. Rollins. All right, both of those cases issued a temporary restraining order. The first one, this one down here, said you guys have to pay out the entire contingency fund. That contingency fund was worth $5.5 billion, and the government has paid that out. But that is only half of the amount, or a little bit more than half. So this much, this long-term contingency fund of $5.5 billion is paid out. It is gone because it is now in the hands of the states. It's already gone. It's already been paid to the states. That's why As Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson said, it's gone now. The rest of this money can come from any variety of different sources. The judge in this case, the judge in the Rhode Island case, said you need to find some other sources and pay out the rest of this too. And that is what the federal government, what the Trump administration is fighting right now. They say, we don't want to pay the rest of this. We don't want to pay this extra $4 billion to get us from 5.5 up to 9.5. And that's what the question is right now, whether they have to pay full SNAP benefits or just partial SNAP benefits. But the partial SNAP benefits have already gone out from everything I can tell. I haven't seen that written anywhere because everybody seems to be pretty confused by this case, but the federal government filed a document in this case, in the Massachusetts case, early last week saying, we agree to this, we will be paying this out, no problem. And I can't see any reason why they haven't or why they wouldn't, and money started flowing, and according to everything I've heard, states like Wisconsin started getting their money out of this early last week. So as far as I can tell, that's what's meant when they say this money is gone. It's already been spent as agreed to. The question now is whether more money will be spent on top of that. So that is the only question we have left. That's what we're dealing with right now. Got it? Clear as mud? All right.
Like I said yesterday, they spent that money while he's in Florida partying, eating steak, shrimp, and scallops. The SNAP beneficiaries are going to sit home and starve. They spent the money. The Honorable Ketanji Brown put in the court documents that the money was no longer available. I wonder who he's going to blame for this one.
Thank you for watching Great Minds Blacks.